Prepare yourselves for a battle of epic proportions between two titans. Feast upon their voices and revel in their words. This is Dueling Ogres.
Hello, Ogres, and welcome to episode 156. Thank you for joining us, as always, on this myopic Wednesday evening, Earth date June 6th, 2018. I'm your host, Remington Hitchcock. With me, as always, my co-host, Brandon Full. Say hello, Brandon.
Hello, Remington.
How's it going?
You? We said it at the same time.
Wait, did we?
Yeah.
I can't hear you. I've got my cans on.
I can't hear you either.
Yes! This is going to be great.
I'm fantastic, though. I'm excited for today. I have headphones in, so that means something special is happening.
Yeah, we like headphones, but we only like them when we have a special guest.
Or whenever they're sent to us from Sweden.
Yes.
We do like those headphones, too.
Yes, we do. We do indeed. So with us this week, we have the incomparable, the beautiful, the existential Stephen Hines. Hi, Stephen.
Hi.
How's it going?
Great.
Good.
How are you guys?
I'm alive. Brandon, are you alive?
I feel fantastic. I had a grilled chicken Caesar wrap from Subway on my way over here. So,
okay.
Doing pretty good with my life.
I had a bowl of reheated beanless chili.
Isn't beanless chili? Beanless chili is just like ketchup, isn't it?
What are you making chili out of?
Ketchup?
That's disgusting. Stephen, do you put ketchup in your chili?
No. But beanless chili? I mean, that's like decaf coffee. What's the point?
Well, okay, so the point was we had bought some hot dogs, and I wanted some sauce for my hot dogs, but I didn't want hot dog sauce. I have been woefully disappointed with my choices of hot dog sauce, so I just went with beanless chili.
That still sounds disgusting.
It was way better than the hot dog sauces. I'll say this.
Was it liquidy?
I mean, yeah, a little bit.
So did you, when you put it on this hot dog to eat, was it liquidy?
A little bit, yeah.
Ugh, that's not good sauce.
It wasn't like, I mean, it wasn't like just dripping out of all places. It was kind of thick.
It will be later. Dripping out of all places.
Yeah, that's true. Now that you mentioned it, well, no, because the beans are what makes you poops. They're the ones with the fibers in them. No? He's shaking. This is an audio podcast. You have to say no.
Well, let me ask you a groundbreaking question here. This will sink or swim this whole interview.
Okay.
Do you like Skyline chili?
Yeah, I've eaten it before. I haven't had it from wherever it comes from. Where is it?
Skyline. I love Skyline chili.
Oh, this interview's over.
You don't like Skyline chili?
I think it's disgusting.
Remington, disconnect us from Skype, please.
Okay, bye, Stephen. It was nice having you on.
You're both dead to me.
I mean, I don't love it. It's not my chili of choice, but I've eaten it and I've been like, yeah, I can get behind this every once in a while.
The chili shouldn't be sweet.
I mean, to be fair, this is from the frozen section in Walmart, so it's not exactly great.
It's frozen, but it's actually served at like Skyline chili restaurants.
Yeah.
Do you guys not have Skyline restaurants down there?
No.
Oh, you're not missing anything. First of all, their chili is sweet. Second of all, they put it on top of freaking spaghetti, which is just wrong.
But with a whole bunch of onions and cheese.
But it came from Cincinnati, so obviously that's why it's an epic failure.
It's one of the few good things to come out of Ohio.
Yeah.
I beg to differ.
So let's before we get into interview proper, let's all see what we've been up to lately.
Yeah, sure.
We'll do some easy banter and just slide right into them DMs.
Yeah. I don't think you understand what that means.
Do I not?
Those district managers.
Am I using it wrong? I was direct messages.
Slide right into those dog muscles.
What? The dog muscles?
My brain and my mouth are not connected in any way.
Maybe you're the one who doesn't know what that means. No, we say that a lot in the Discord that I'm in. Mm-hmm. Just slide into those DMs. It sounds sexy.
I think it's supposed to be sexy.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound sexy.
Well, then you're just out of touch with the younger generation, Steve.
Yes, I am. Every time you talk about twitching, I just think that you're having some kind of epileptic fit or something.
Well, I mean, I am, but that's a completely different thing.
He likes to stream it. So what have you been up to, Stephen?
Oh, all kinds of madness. Just trying to get our condo ready to put it up for sale and decluttering and taking carload after carload of useless crap that we've accumulated to Goodwill and donating it.
Wow.
Do you have a hard time sorting through your useless crap to find stuff to donate, or are you a kind of person that's pretty good at separating yourself from that?
I suck at letting things go, even if haven't used them in years, until I start thinking about having to pack them and move them in and out of a moving truck, and then I just get ruthless.
Oh, what's this? Grandma's urn? Gotta go.
I'm not packing up this toothbrush. I can go without brushing my teeth till we sell this place.
Your wife is just like, it's a toothbrush. Put it in your pocket.
And then I'm like, but it's not a ball brush.
That's true. It's not.
It can be.
I mean,
you can
it
use
could
that
be.
brush for a lot of different orifices.
It depends. Is it a soft bristle or a firm bristle?
It's a rechargeable powered one, so
Oh,
Oh, fancy.
super tickly.
I didn't realize we were talking to royalty today.
I am the Diamond Man.
That's true. That's
Yeah,
true.
I can't believe you left the Diamond Man out of the introduction.
Oh my
for it.
God, I did. I'm just the worst person.
I thought that's where you were going to go, and you were like the incomparable, the immeasurable, the Diamond Man.
I didn't.
Yeah, I know.
I failed this podcast, and I failed you, Stephen Hines.
I'm more upset about the Skyline Chili thing. So
Okay, so does that mean I can put this wakizashi away?
whatever that is, sure.
Okay.
It's a traditional Japanese sword used in seppuku.
Oh, well. I guess I'm feeling rather ignorant right now.
That's okay. You're still pretty.
Aw.
See, that always makes it better.
To just say you're still pretty?
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like that would work.
it does. It works all the time. I use it constantly.
I'm all looks and no brains.
I mean, if you want to read into it, honey, that's all you.
I am the Kardashian of the underground comic book circuit.
That ass though.
Would you like me to aim it toward my camera?
Yeah, we're on Skype right now, listeners, so you're missing out on Steven's. Oh, he just took off his shirt.
Yeah,
See, we can say whatever we want since people aren't.
it's true.
It's the theater of the mind.
And I mean, isn't your nickname Albino Boy?
Albino leopard boy, yes.
So, which is why I'm blind now that you've taken your shirt off.
I told you to wear those eclipse glasses, but you guys wouldn't listen.
So where did the leper part come from?
The leopard part came from me always kind of feeling like I didn't really fit in with any particular group of people.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I've never, when I was in school, I didn't fit in with the other musicians because they were mostly stoners and stuff like that, and I was never a stoner. And I got good grades and cared about school, but I didn't fit in with like the straight A crowd, and I was never preppy, so I definitely didn't fit in with them. I didn't fit in with the jocks because I have no coordination, and just a man without a country, I guess.
Yeah, I feel you there. I had a lot of the same problems, but I was always super friendly. Like there was no awkwardness when it came to me interacting with people. So that was kind of my boon in that I didn't have to feel like I didn't belong to anything because I belonged to everything a little bit.
Yeah, you're an extrovert.
Yeah. So
And
we've talked.
I'm an awkward introvert.
We've talked about the guy before that doesn't like me because
Yeah.
he feels like I'm fake because I can just talk to anybody. And it's like, no, it's not that I'm fake. It's just that I can always find something to talk about. I don't think that makes you fake. I think that just makes you
An extrovert.
an extrovert. Yeah. A social chameleon.
Would you consider yourself a pretty heavy introvert, Stephen?
What's weird is that it kind of depends on which way my brain chemistry is rolling on a certain day. Like some days I'm just really extroverted and I'll be out running errands and talk to complete strangers and I'm all like, I love people. And then other times the chemicals are rolling the other way and it's like, I feel so awkward. I can't even handle this transaction at the cash register without coming across as possibly someone who has a body in his trunk.
I understand that completely. Of course, usually I have a body in the trunk, so every time I get pulled over, it's an affair.
Literally, because you have to have an affair with the officer for him to look the other way.
Yes, exactly.
So you do a lot of cons, so I mean, you have to be pretty good at talking to people then, at least for selling the stuff that you have for sale, right?
Yeah, that forces me out of my shell. And one thing that I've discovered this with the last convention that I went to, I took a sanity day on the day before the convention because it was at the end of the school year and I was feeling pretty burned out from my teaching job. And I took a day just to, sleep in. And so I would feel more, well rested and do a better job of selling my books. And I had the best convention sales that I've ever had. And I think it was at least partially due to that, because wasn't feeling so crispy and kind of, F the world kind of an attitude.
Yeah.
And I was a lot more jovial behind my table and just talking to people. And I think it kind of attracts people to your table if you have that kind of attitude.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a mental health day is a really good idea for that too, especially a lot of your indie artists and things. They don't really have anybody who's backing them except for themselves. So it means a long day at the con or a long couple days at the con and talking to people, even when maybe you don't feel like talking to people. But you're there to sell your wares. You're there to put your stuff out there. So you kind of have to be. The ones who it's weird because you have to find this mix, I think, of being forward about your product, but also measuring yourself so that you're not being aggressive about it.
Oh yeah, because the hard sell never works for me.
Yeah.
I have seen people at conventions who will do that, and they'll like just corner somebody and they'll buy something from this person. It's kind of like the animal with its paw caught in a trap and it gnaws its own paw off to escape.
Yeah.
That's the perfect metaphor for what these people will throw a few bucks at them just to get the hell away from them.
Yeah.
And if you're the poor slob who's at the table and your table's next to that aggressive person, those people just sprint to get out of that aisle, and your sales go down the tubes for the whole show.
Yeah, that's the truth of it too. It's you run into a lot of the same thing in just sales in general. Since we've talked about mattresses, I've never been one to be that pushy salesman, and I just don't think that technique works. At least for me. I mean, everybody's different. Some people are better at it than others, but man, I don't like coming at somebody with a whole bunch of heat unless I have to.
Yeah, unless you have to.
Yeah, there have been some people who just won't slow down enough for me to get my pitch off, which is a real problem. Like if you, I've got very important or helpful information to tell you. If you would just shut up long enough for me to tell it to you.
Well, that's when you have to give them the shorter, abbreviated version and call it your son of a pitch.
I like it. That's beautiful. I've never heard that before.
Just popped into my warped, fragile little brain.
So what out of the stuff that you've done would you say has been taking off as far as selling goes? Have you had any specific books that seem to have been selling well lately?
Lately, my Valedictorian USA graphic novel is finally taken off, and people are getting into it and tell me how excited they are to get the new issue which I just finally got printed, which it makes me happy because it seems like I really, really, really believe in this story, and the art's awesome, and I think it's hilarious, and it also has some depth to it because it's mocking the manipulated nature of reality TV, and for the longest time I was just kind of beating myself up saying, what is it about me that I can't seem to sell this book? It's so good, it's so funny, and I guess once I just kind of just gave up, and I'm still giving the same sales pitch, people are like suddenly just swooping in and saying, "Oh my God, I want to read this. It sounds so great." And I'm like, "Where were you people years ago?"
How old is Valedictorian USA?
The first issue came out in ashcan format. I think it was 9 years ago.
Oh wow!
And we're only up to issue 6 in print because it's so expensive to pay the artist and stuff like that. And I've never done Kickstarters for that series, and I don't know why. But I just don't have the energy to do more than one Kickstarter a year because it's literally like a full-time job when you're running one, and it goes for a month.
Yeah, that's something that we have not ever done is a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Of all the money-making schemes that I have.
Well, we would need to have an actual product for a Kickstarter.
That's true.
You should do a Dueling Ogres comic book. Like there's a band from the Cincinnati area called Red Hot Rebellion, and they're awesome, by the way. And they not only are they a band and they sell their CDs at comic book conventions, but their bass player writes comic books where he turns the guys in the band into like space aliens. And they're out, and in the one that I bought, they're out in outer space, and they hear the music that's coming from our radio stations in space, and it's just so pathetically horrible that they have to come down and save us with the power of their rock and roll. It's awesome. You can do one with a Rem and a Brandon,
Yeah,
in ogre form.
We already have the ogre characters. So.
Yeah,
Brandon, there you go. Get to work.
Get to work on it.
Get to work.
So.
So are you cool if we get into talking about, if we manage to make it there, if we get into talking about anxiety some, since I know you recently did some work on an anxiety book, right?
I was going. Oh yeah, I did a mini comic that's called "The Unexpected Benefits of Having a Social Anxiety Disorder."
Yeah.
It was originally I pitched it to there's a comic book anthology of stories about anxiety called Sweaty Palms, and I had pledged on the first volume's Kickstarter, and then they had a call for submissions for the second one, and I didn't even make it past the first round of screening
Oh, damn.
without even seeing any art. I just pitched my idea and got shot down. Heartless bastards.
So what was the idea? Just the actual benefits of it?
I wanted my goal with it was to not just be all whiny about it and complain about it and talk about the ways that it makes me in some ways a better teacher and try to come at it from sort of a humorous angle instead of being all depressing.
And they didn't like that?
Apparently not.
See, because it seems like, and I haven't read it, so this isn't anything against them at all, but it seems like that's a great idea to have something different than a lot of stories of like what having a panic attack is like, you know?
Yeah, that was what I thought, and I thought I would at least make it to the point where they saw my art and then get rejected for my shitty art, but I didn't even make it.
So you released it as like a small comic yourself, right?
Yep, just to put it out as a mini comic. And it sold really well for me at Space. I was surprised.
Are you going to have it at the upcoming cons you're going to be at as well?
Yeah, as long as I don't sell out, because I was an idiot and I only had the school printed them for me, and I only had them print 25 for me because I don't know, I was just like, nobody's going to be interested in this. I'll just have them make 25. And I can't remember exactly how many I have left, but I don't have a ton of them left. But if worse comes to worse, I can print some at home and hand staple them. That's kind of the tradition with mini comics anyway.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
Uh-huh.
DIY.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of those things where I think it's important for, especially people who have anxiety problems, to be able to see it from all points of view. That way you have the maximum amount of experiences to cling on to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, say, they don't put this particular part into the book, but there are, 10-15% of people who have anxiety who can relate to that.
Yeah.
And you're kind of ostracizing that section of people with anxiety.
Yeah. And I think the more you hear about other people and what they go through, it helps you de-escalate yourself because a lot of times you're stuck inside your own head and you're feeling like, oh, this is just me. I'm crazy or something. But reading about somebody else's struggles helps. Like this one lady bought a copy of it at Space, and she read it. And her husband is a comic book creator, and she always sits with him at his table. And she came walking over really quickly and like held the comic book up to me. It was like, this is me in here. And I was like, that's like the greatest compliment I could have gotten on this.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that is awesome. That makes you feel freaking good too. When you have somebody who can just relate to it so succinctly.
Yeah, I mean, that's all. Man, I don't care if I sell another copy of it. Just knowing that it made her feel happy and that she could relate that intensely to it, I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good stuff. So let's move on, Brandon.
Yeah, let's move on to actually Valedictorian USA. I wanted to continue touching on that here for a second. You have that available online, right?
Yep, you can purchase the first 5 issues in graphic novel format on Amazon and Kindle, and it's also available through my Etsy store. And I'm gradually putting it out page by page, a page a week on Webtoons.com. Which, if you have the Webtoons app, you can read it for free on there. So.
That's cool.
How do you find it? Just search Valedictorian USA on Webtoons?
Yep. Just search for Valedictorian USA or Stephen Hines, and it should come up.
So what made you go to webcomic format? Because that's something I find interesting. Was there a push that made you decide, like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and release it as a webcomic also?
Yeah. About a month before the Space Convention, I was getting ready to do a convention in Dayton called the Gem City Comic Con. And I have a comic book creator friend named J.M. Hunter, who was awesome. And he lives all the way over in Chicago, and he crashed at our place for the weekend, so he didn't have to get a hotel. And I was venting to him about how frustrated I was about not doing a good job of selling the book at conventions. And he said, why don't you put it out through, a webcomic app? And gradually, you have enough material to string it along until you can finance another issue, and you can gradually build a fan base. And I was like, is that going to work? Are they going to want to buy it when they can get it for free? And he said, it's counterintuitive, but a lot of creators do that, and people get so into it and so attached to it, reading it online, that when they find out you're going to be at a convention, they rush to get it on paper. And it doesn't seem like it would work that way, because you think about music, and if people can download it for free, hardly anybody buys their music anymore. But for some reason with comic books, it tends to work the opposite way.
Yeah, there's something about having that tactile thing in your hand and being able to see the art not digitized, really. I mean, it may still be digitally done on the page, but you can really get on that print and soak it in and spend as much time on it as you want. It almost seems like when you're on the computer or you're on an app or something, it feels kind of rushed. I don't know if either of you have ever noticed that, but if you're looking at something on your phone, there's this sense of, I have to hurry up and do whatever I'm doing so I can actually look at real life around me, because there's this pressure to do so since we're all buried in our phones all day anyway.
Yeah, for some strange reason, I feel rushed reading webcomics while I'm driving. It's so rude. People expect me to stop when they stop and swerve around them on their bicycles.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
It's a bunch of narcissistic, self-centered assholes.
I think that's a really good idea, though. And it makes a lot of sense. I've bought some webcomics in book format as well.
Yeah, if I get hooked on it through Webtoons or something, I want it on print, because I like to take my time, like Ren was just saying, and just kind of soak in the art and just drool all over it, because I'm very minimally talented when it comes to illustrating. But if I come across someone who's really fantastic at art, I just love to just sit and just marinate in it, and just like,
yeah.
Oh my God, this person is so talented. Look at all the detail. That is awesome.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to move on to the main thing, your big thing that you're working on right now.
Where's your pitch? We need your pitch.
And that's, you have a Kickstarter coming up, right?
Ironically, pitch is what they call a soccer field. Did you know that?
No,
I did not.
I had to look it up because I don't know squat about soccer.
Which is a segue into your next project,
you're
right?
You're kickstarting a soccer field, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I've always wanted my own soccer field. It's gonna be like Field of Dreams, but it's gonna be in my neighbor's lawn instead of a cornfield. Because I had this vision: if you build it, they will come.
Jeez, you've killed our setup.
Have I mentioned that I'm awkward sometimes?
But no, obviously you're not building a soccer field, Stephen. What are you working on? Give us the skinny.
The skinny?
Yeah.
I am going to be launching a Kickstarter on June 15th for the first issue in a comic book trilogy called The Soccer Mom Killer. And the story is about, if I could talk, it's about a serial killer who targets minivan driving soccer moms. And he is on the prowl in a suburb of Columbus, Ohio. And the story also focuses on a couple cops from that little tiny suburb who get embroiled in trying to bring this guy to justice before he can finish his mission. And all kinds of madness and gratuitous violence ensues.
So what was your idea for this? Like, where did the idea of a soccer mom killer come from? Did you have a certain thing that happened?
Were you drawing on like some of those past B-rate movies that come out, or channeling that in any way?
It actually came from some serious petty anger. Years ago, I used to ride a bike a lot for exercise, and until my doctor said no more of that, which is another story. But and I tried riding on the streets of the town where we live, and and of course you're not supposed to ride on the sidewalk, so I would ride right along beside the curb. And in our town, apparently there is no respect for someone on a bicycle, because I had a couple people literally, their car door came within millimeters of my pedal that was facing, the road.
Holy crap.
And it scared the shit out of me. So I started riding across town and going to the biggest park that we have in town that has a paved bike path that winds around all these baseball fields and soccer fields.
Yeah.
And of course I would, have my tunes blasting or a podcast in my earbuds and just get into a groove. And, the whole goal was to try to, lose some weight and pound out some miles, and I was in the groove one time and just coming around, and there was a soccer game going on, and the soccer mom just out of nowhere grabbed her lawn chair and just looked right at me and walked right in front of me when I was going full bore. And I had to slam on my brakes, and I almost wrecked, and I could have really seriously hurt myself on that pavement, and I got all pissed off and called her a few things that I won't. And So the whole time I was pedaling home, I was like, these damn soccer moms, and they just feel so entitled to everything. And I was like, it'd be funny to write a story about a serial killer who only killed minivan driving soccer moms. And I just wrote the idea down, and it sat there for a long time. And then by the time I got around to actually writing it, it became something a lot more serious and with a lot more depth. It wasn't just, some pissed off pasty white guy going on a petty rant through a comic book,
Right.
I wonder what it is about soccer moms that they seem to live up to that stereotype a lot of times.
Oh, they do. I used to teach. My first teaching job was in a town that was predominantly populated by these soccer moms, and just our crap doesn't stink attitude that like one time I gave a detention to a soccer mom's kid in my 8th grade class because I don't even remember what the kid did, but it was a flagrant offense that needed to be dealt with. And this soccer mom charged into my classroom the next morning before my first class started, wearing her business suit, and got in my face and just went off on me about how her kid did not do anything wrong ever, and
Right.
was ripping me a new one. And I was in such shock because when I grew up, my parents always assumed that I was guilty until proven innocent.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's the way it should be.
Yeah, and virtually every parent that I dealt with in that town had that attitude, or like they always took the kid's side over the teacher's side, and a lot of that kind of informed my writing of the story. It was some of the people that I dealt with there, and there was an artist who worked on the book for a while and then kind of bailed on it, and he told me stories because he works. He's a barista at Starbucks.
Yeah.
Or would it be a baristo for a dude? I don't know, but
no, it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be.
And some of the horror stories he told me about the suburb where he works found their way into the book as well, and added some to it, which it's both kind of horrifying and funny at the same time.
Right. So, not to get into spoiler territory, but it's curious to me: is the serial killer kind of the anti-hero of, like, is he going to have like maybe almost a Deadpool feel where like you want to cheer him on because these soccer moms are such horrendous people? Or, I mean, is it like straight up Dexter style? Like,
I think it's about halfway in between those two. I mean, I definitely, I had a friend of mine read the first draft of the script, and he said, I don't feel like you're giving the readers enough to hate these soccer moms.
Yeah.
They really need to hate these ladies so much that they want them to die.
Right, yeah.
And I wrote some interludes and preludes and things like that, and inserted just little snippets to show you how despicable these women were. But I would be seriously worried about somebody if they were like psyched and rooting for the guy at the same time.
Well, I think that's kind of what happens, in especially tales like this, is people, when your focus is on the serial killer, it's like, yeah, that killing people is wrong, but you have to suspend your belief in that aspect of life to let the story play out. So I think most people do that pretty well without going off the deep end and killing a bunch of soccer moms themselves.
I mean, I seriously hope that it doesn't inspire anyone to launch into that territory. But
it would make great publicity, though.
Yeah.
No. People wearing V for Vendetta masks is great publicity for Alan Moore. Someone going on a killing spree is not the kind of publicity I would like.
That's true. I guess you raise a valid point.
I mean, is it like how when you watch a Friday the 13th movie, you sort of cheer for Jason because the people he's killing a lot of times are despicable people?
Yeah, I would hope people would feel at least a blending of those two emotions of kind of cheering him on at the same time thinking, oh my God, this guy is a horrific bastard.
Because I read some of the script, you sent it to me, and the kills are pretty violent.
Super violent, yeah. Yeah, and the artist that I found for the project is so unfucking believable. She's easily the best. I mean, I've worked with some great artists, no offense to the other ones I worked with, but she is the best artist I've ever worked with, and you're gonna drool when you see her art. It's just
oh, that's awesome.
So who's doing the art for this?
Her name is Nela Bochenska, and I think she's from Poland. I'm not sure yet because she hasn't sent me her bio yet. She says she hates writing those, and she's dragging her feet on sending it to me. But I put an ad out on digitalwebbing.com, which is a website, if people don't know, where if you're an author, you can give them a little snip, a little teaser of what your story's about and try to find an artist to collaborate with you.
Yeah.
And then vice versa, if you're an artist looking for a writer because that's not your strong point, you can hook up with somebody and hash out a contract with each other. And I had a ton of people who applied, and like literally everybody would have been more than good enough for the project, but I just kept seeing like, no, that's not the style that I had in mind, or no, I've seen that style of art a million times before. There's just nothing about it. And I narrowed it down to my two favorite people, and then I paid each one of them to draw one page of my script to see how their art worked with my writing.
Right.
And the first guy is a guy named Joe, got back with me, and his page was awesome.
Yeah.
And I was millimeters away from pulling the trigger on hiring him. And then I got the sample page from Nayla, and I opened it on my phone and literally jerked back from my phone and gasped. And my wife is an artist, and she's a hell of an artist. She's a painter. She does conceptual art, and she's a very good judge of art. And I dramatically turned my phone around and showed it to her, and she jerked back from my phone and gasped. And I was like, "This is the one."
Nice.
There will be no other.
Yeah, that's
so we
cool.
hashed out a contract, and she's working on. She's supposed to be sending the cover to me, I think, today, and she's working on the first 5 pages to entice people into pledging on the Kickstarter. So
nice.
So
That's
is
awesome.
that what you're going to display on the Kickstarter? Is going to be the cover in the first 5 pages?
Yep, that and some of the incentives that we're going to be dangling in front of people to get them to pledge.
Because you've done a lot of Kickstarters at this point, right?
This is my 5th one, and I still get nervous every single time because this is the most money I've ever asked for.
Oh yeah.
The last one was the most money I'd ever asked for, and the one before that one. And every time it's so nerve wracking because if I go for a day or two without any new pledges, I start freaking out, getting all paranoid, like, oh my god, this thing's gonna flop. This thing's gonna flop.
Yeah, that's the one thing that with something like that, especially, you just kind of have to put it up there and respond to whatever you have to respond to, but otherwise just not look at it and just let it simmer. Because if you sit there, you'll spend all of your time looking for the next donation or the next kick, and it's like a drug. Don't get into gambling, Stephen.
Oh, trust me, I have no luck, so gambling would not be a good idea. But it's easy for you to say, Remington, to not sit there and just keep looking at it, waiting for the next pledge to roll in.
Hey, listen, I completely understand. When I first started up the Amazon affiliate thing, I was constantly watching to see if anything kicked out of that, and I was just like, okay, you know what? It's set up. I'll put up the stuff, and if it happens, it happens, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. And I was stressing myself out pretty bad just watching that when I first was getting into it. Partially because I like seeing the analytics and who's clicking on what and gaining that, because you kind of have to look at it when you first started off, so you know kind of what your audience is into. That way you can tailor the marketing properly.
Yeah, I do the same thing with Kickstarters analytics because they tell you which platforms and websites you're getting the most pledges from, and so that tells me where I should focus my begging, basically.
Yeah.
Where do you get most of your links from in the past? Is it mainly through Facebook?
In the past, it's been almost probably about 70% through Facebook. On the last one, it was more like about 60% through Facebook, and the rest of it was straight through Kickstarter.
Just people jumping from one Kickstarter to another, kind of finding you that way?
Yeah, and I had the most people who hadn't bought any of my other stuff who pledged on that campaign, which is a good feeling. I mean, it's a great feeling to have return customers, of course. I bought your other stuff and I really liked it, so I want to get your new thing. That's a fantastic feeling too. But it's also a different kind of validation when you get someone who hasn't read any of your other stuff and they're willing to take a chance on your book.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are you? Let's kind of recap. What was the last one that you did? Was the Zombie Fabulous one, right?
Right. It was the finale to the Zombie Fabulous trilogy.
Right, and that one had. You had some pretty neat handmade bits and baubles for that one, correct?
Yeah, we had zombie brain rosaries for that one since the issue had a lot to do with the Virgin Mary.
Right.
So I bought a whole 100 or so cheap plastic rosaries.
Yeah.
All in the color of blue because that's symbolically the color of the Virgin Mary, which I learned through reading James Joyce in college. And then I have a former student who went to special effects makeup college in Pittsburgh, and she's been back in Ohio for a while now. And she does like horror makeup for people, and she did our zombie makeup for the videos, and she did our drag queen makeup for the video before that, and she made like zombie fingers that looked like they'd been chopped off a zombie with a bone sticking out of the end and blood on them, and then she made brains for these rosaries and put ZF on them. And it was funny, while she was making them, she kept texting me saying, I'm sitting here in my apartment chopping crucifixes off a whole package of rosaries. Do you have any idea how blasphemous this is?
So do we have any spoilers of any ideas of what you're going to be doing for this one that you want to give away, or do you want to just hold off until the Kickstarter?
Oh, I'm willing to blab about it. Yeah, for this one she is making. We kicked around a bunch of ideas, but she's making wine glass charms. Are you guys familiar with wine glass charms?
No,
they go around the stem.
Yeah. You put them around the stem of your wine glass if you're very much a socialite and you have a lot of people over for your party, and that way you're not drinking out of somebody else's wine glass and you're kind of marking your territory.
I was going to say if it's not a mason jar, I'm not interested.
And I'll drink my wine out of a box, and it's
that's
good.
Right.
But what was funny is she pitched some ideas to me, and I was like, well, what do you think about making this into a wine glass charm? And there was like dead silent, no texts were coming back to me. And then she's like, I had to look that up. I didn't know what it was. I'm like, that's because you're not a snooty soccer mom. And she's like, true. And so she's going to be making some wine glass charms that with like a skull with a knife sticking in it, and with little soccer ball beads that she's making from scratch.
Oh, that's cool.
To go on them. And I'm having vinyl car window stickers made. How all soccer moms have that soccer ball with like their kid's name and number on it.
Right.
And have bloody dripping letters SMK on it. I was afraid to spell out the name of the book on it because I was like, somebody's going to put this on the back of their vehicle and get pulled over or something. Like, this person wants to kill soccer moms.
They're very vocal about it.
They're proud. Some of the other things that I'm going to be doing some art of, people can pledge and get a hand-drawn mugshot of them holding up a sign like they've been arrested for some kind of a crime. And they can also get a cameo appearance in issue 2 of the trilogy. And if they pledge at the top level, they can have a cameo and be on the cover of the graphic novel that will eventually collect the whole trilogy.
Nice.
Wow.
Very good. That's pretty cool.
So there you go, you guys. You can have cameo appearances wearing Dueling Ogres t-shirts.
That's what we have to do, right, Rem?
Yeah, now we have to. God damn it.
I backed you into that corner.
Yeah, you did. Fucking
so much
painted
for the
that
hard sell not working.
Yeah, seriously. Chew our paw off.
Yeah, no, I did. Yeah. So what's the top tier going to be? That way I know how much I have to spend.
Only $170.
Okay. All
Actually,
right.
no, the top tier, I forgot. I stole this idea from another comic book creator. I'm going to offer a 1 hour Skype comic book script critique and not really a counseling session, but a critique and what's the word I'm looking for, Rem? Feedback, giving them feedback and suggestions and Kickstarter ideas if they would like to, since I'm kind of getting to be a veteran of that but at this point.
Yeah.
Well, that's a really cool idea.
Yeah, so, Brandon, if you would like to pledge at the top level, we can have a topless Skype where we discuss your comic book idea.
I don't have any comic book ideas, so can we just sit in silence topless for an hour?
I'm fine as long as we don't want to be too awkward. So while we're sitting there silently watching each other, we have to each be rubbing baby oil into our skin.
Yeah, I was just going to suggest that. It's like you read my mind.
It's freaking. I feel like, did we just become best friends?
Yes.
Jeez.
You're out of the equation, Rim.
That's, I'm surprisingly okay with that.
Stephen, do you want to become the new Dueling Ogre?
Yes. Do I have to move to West Virginia, though?
Yeah.
Oh. I don't know. You guys don't pay your teachers very well down there.
Yeah, amen to that.
We don't pay anybody well down here.
God, what are we like fucking 48th out of the 50 states of lowest paid teachers?
Yeah.
Well, that's because teachers are a bunch of union thugs. We all know that.
Yeah, that's true.
What do they actually do anyway?
Yeah.
Teach, in quotes.
I mean, I beg to differ. I've seen some of the kids coming out of schools nowadays. They're about as useful as a poopy flavored lollipop.
Oh, I'm not the only one who loves to repeat that line from Dodgeball.
Yeah. That and necessary? Is it necessary for me to drink my own urine? Probably not, but it's sterile and I like the taste.
Patches O'Houlihan is one of the greatest characters of all time.
Yeah, he is. Oh my God.
I won't repeat the offensive line that he makes about people humping a doorknob.
I've never seen Dodgeball.
Oh my God, it's a good one. It's a good
one. You be deported, Brandon.
I'll take my Skyline and go overseas.
Build that Brandon wall.
So speaking of Kickstarters, how did the Zombie Fabulous Kickstarter go?
Oh, it went fantastically well. We ended up raising more money than I've ever raised on any Kickstarter. And if I hadn't made a classic rookie mistake, which I should have known better, then I would have had a bunch of money left over to make another comic book. But for some strange reason, I even went to great depths and made a spreadsheet budget for this thing. Like, I am more professional than I have ever been. And my hubris came back to bite me in the butt because I have to factor in that the Kickstarter takes a percentage of your take.
Oh,
And I forgot to factor that into my budget. And I was like, son of a bitch, you know better. So, but the only all I had to do was like tailor back how many copies of the book I had printed, and bank on the fact that it would sell well enough to finance the printing of more issues, which it did.
So when you do a Kickstarter, you factor in however many people pledged enough to get the book, and then do you count those into the entire print run that you're going to get done? Like, say you decide I want to do a print run of 200 books. Do you factor in the like 60 that have been pledged as Kickstarter, leaving you with 140 books left over?
Well, the bad thing is you have to be psychic and predict the amount of money you're going to need ahead of time, because you have to have a set amount of money that you're asking for. So the only thing you can go on is what how many. Basically, what you have to do is just guesstimate based on how many people pledged and how many comics you needed last time, and just budget for maybe 20 or 30 more than last time, just in case, and hope and pray that your psychic abilities are up to par.
Okay.
So it's a real crapshoot, but the more you do it, it seems like the more you kind of have a really good grasp of the cost of printing and everything that goes into your extras. And
yeah, I've learned that the hard way to make sure that I budget for more than what I will probably need, and if I have any left over of the incentives, I can always sell them at conventions, so it's not a loss.
Yeah,
and it works out pretty well that way. And I also learned the hard way to be very careful about opening it up to international pledges, because on my first Kickstarter, I just was like, I'll just double what it costs to mail somewhere in the United States, and that'll be enough. These people pledging from Sweden, and the postage was about $2 million to mail a $3 comic book over there, and I was eating money. I was like, let's not do that this time.
Yeah.
So do you only do in the U.S.?
For this one, I'm doing just the United States and the United Kingdom. And last time I had it open to international shipping, but I put the actual, what it would cost to mail it over there. And what that essentially did was I only had about 2 or 3 people from overseas who wanted a physical copy of the book, and most of them went for the PDF option, because then you don't have to pay a shit ton of money for shipping.
They're paying like $30 for a printed comic.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, I was looking at in another one of the Discords that I'm in. There's a British fellow, a British streamer, and he has a love affair of I think it's the oatmeal cream pies, like the Little Debbie oatmeal cream pies.
Uh-huh.
And he was like, anybody over in the States, tell me what it'll cost. I'll pay what it'll cost. Just ship some over to me. Yeah, it was like in the hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, it's asinine.
It was that much?
Yes.
Wow.
How many did they send in?
Oh, no, nobody did. I looked it up because I was going to be like, yeah, I'll send you some. I don't give a shit, whatever. But yeah, he was like, yeah, I'll pay for the shipping and I'll reimburse you. No big deal. And I looked up the shipping costs of it, and I was like, okay, so this is how much it's going to be. You're not going to hurt my feelings if you're not interested.
Wow.
Yeah.
We have friends in Scotland. My wife has a pen pal from Scotland, and I've become friends with her husband because he's a Motorhead fan. So we've hit it off, and she's like a troop leader for the European equivalent of Girl Scouts. I can't remember what it's called. So it's Path something or other. And they don't have Girl Scout cookies over there. So they do different things for fundraisers. So whenever Girl Scout cookies come out over here, my wife will put together a care package and send them some boxes, and the shipping to send them some Girl Scout cookies, you'd swear you were sending them a jet or something.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Well, and then you're just spending money to buy Girl Scout cookies, which are expensive already too.
Yeah, but they get a kick out of it, and they always send us stuff too. Like they'll put together a care package of food from over there that we can't get and send it to us, and then ask us, what we think of it. And it's cool. It's kind of like foreign exchange food packaging or something.
Yeah.
So like you're constantly getting Hocus?
No, they keep trying to convince me that I should try it, and I looked up what's in it, and I'm like, no.
Well, that was your first fucking mistake.
Isn't it just a bunch of meat?
What I'm shoving in my mouth hole.
It's just a bunch of meat shoved into an intestine, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what it is.
So you guys are both looking at me in a very concerning way.
You don't like to pack meat into your intestines?
No, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I don't care. I'll give it a try. I've never had haggis before, but I'll give it a try.
It's a sheep stomach, isn't it?
Yeah.
That just sounds so repulsive to me.
If you give it too much thought, it will. But I mean, if you think about what goes into processing a hot dog that you have every 4th of July.
Yeah, I can count on one finger how many hot dogs I have in a year.
I eat
guess that's
probably 6 to 8 hot dogs a week.
Do you really?
Mhm.
That's a lot of nitrates.
I eat a lot of hot dogs. Not to brag, but
I haven't been able to touch bologna since I worked in a grocery store a long time ago because I used to be the third shift supervisor, and we were all like dirt poor, all the guys on my stock crew, and we pooled our change together and bought like a family pack of bologna to eat on our lunch break one night. And I bit into my sandwich, and there were all these bone fragments in it.
ugh.
I'm not talking little itty bitty bone fragments. These were some pretty sizable bone fragments, and my gag reflex just went. Never again.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Stephen,
Yes.
not only are you a talented writer, a talented artist, a great showman, and a fantastic wearer of mohawks,
I am blushing.
you're also a musician, right?
Yes, sir.
You play the bass, or do you play all of the instruments?
I mostly play bass, but on my home recording projects like the punk metal EP, I played all the rhythm guitars and most of the lead guitars, and brought in a guest lead guitarist for a fancy shredding guitar solo because I can only play simple like melodic little solos and stuff like that, and I don't have the finger dexterity to play the wild stuff. And then I use drum loops that I buy of professional studio drummers. They bring them in and they have them record a whole bunch of different drum beats and drum fills and things like that, and they break them up into measures, and then I just move them around in GarageBand because I record with a MacBook Remington, and
Yeah, Remington.
organize them into an interesting song structure, and then I usually write the bass line first off of those drum parts, and then add guitar and guitar after guitar, and then I go on the hunt for some lead vocalists.
Yeah, because you have an EP that released. I mean, I remember we talked about it on the podcast a while ago. It's been like, what, 6 months?
Yep, I put it out on Bandcamp.com digitally on New Year's Day, and then eventually put it out. I had CDs manufactured through CreateSpace.com, and ironically enough, I thought the digital downloads would sell really well because they keep saying on the news that the CD format is a dead medium and all that stuff, and I was like, screw that, and I don't feel like it's real and it's actually been born as a project unless I can hold it in my hands.
Yeah.
So I designed the art, the cover art, and put the liner notes together, and I had a friend do some a mashup of me and Dr. Manhattan for the artwork that got printed onto the CDs, which turned out really cool. And the CDs have been selling like hotcakes at conventions for me, so I feel really vindicated in my old man death grip on the CD format.
I've actually heard that CDs and vinyl have been seeing an uptick in sales in the last year or two.
Yeah, vinyl's been making a massive comeback for a while now, but I hadn't heard about CDs though.
I think it's considered like one of those old mediums now. So you have people who are growing up who are like, oh, my parents used to have these things called CDs. I want to buy some.
Yeah, kind of the nostalgia factor. Same that resurrected vinyl. And what's great about that, along with the fact that you have a tangible product to hold, is bands are getting paid again.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what's the address to go and check out the EP that you have?
If you go to bandcamp.com, my band name is just an abbreviated version of my name. It's just S**HINES, Shines. And you should be able to find me. You'll see a picture of me looking sideways with a mohawk with some punk rock ransom lettering going around my face.
And of course, we'll have the links down below in the description as well. So
yeah.
And I think I actually, I'm pretty sure that I have a picture that I did the EP when it first came out on the website as well. So I can always pop that back up for anybody who is interested, and you can click on the picture and it'll take you right to it.
Awesome. I think everybody would be impressed with the singers I recruited for the project too. I had some badass singers.
That's a really awesome way to do and put out the CD yourself as well. Just getting the drum tracks and all that. I didn't realize that that's what you had done.
Yeah, I tried learning how to play drums in the past, but I quickly discovered that I do not have the coordination to have all four limbs doing something different at the same time.
Well, you see, and I think that's what puts people off is that it's a lack of coordination that allows you to do that.
And for a while, I used a drum machine software.
Yeah.
But no matter how hard you work at it, it's impossible to get it to sound like a human being playing. No matter how good you are at programming it, it still sounds really stiff.
Yeah.
Like the world's stiffest drummer, like with rigor mortis set in and a drumstick up his ass or something.
Yeah, you have to have a drum machine that has like a lot of different samples for it in order to feel alive, because each strike with the stick is in a slightly different position with a slightly different amount of force, and if it's all the same tick, then it seems very flat. There's no life to it. There's no soul behind it.
Right? You gotta beat it like a man. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
Classic Stephen. All right, so go.
All right, so to
Do your
recap on
recap.
your previous project, Stephen, we have Valedictorian USA, which we talked about being released in the webcomic vein as well.
Through Webtoons. Is it just webtoons.com and then you search Valedictorian USA?
Yes, sir.
You also have Hocus Focus.
Yep, Hocus Focus is the first book I ever published. It's a young adult novel, and one of the projects I'm going to be working on this summer is an audiobook edition of Hocus to celebrate its 10th anniversary in December.
Oh yeah, are you going to do that one yourself as well?
Yep, I am going to record and edit and publish it all by myself, just like I did for Rebirth Defect. But this time, I hope to have learned a few more things to make the editing a lot less painful.
There you go. I have tried just practicing reading some audiobook stuff, and it's not for the faint of heart.
I feel like you would be good at it, though, because you do a lot of voices.
Yeah, that I do. Especially every once in a while, I'll get a really good game going that I can read, and I'll do all kinds of different voices for it, and it's really enjoyable to do. But in a book, I feel like I'm not very good at note taking. So if you're doing voices, you kind of have to take a notation almost. And to me, I would have to do an audio notation of what somebody sounds like. That way I can come back and reference it every time they come back up in the book.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think for me, it comes easily because I have 20 years teaching under my belt, and I read stories. And if you don't get into it and get really dramatic and do different voices when you're reading to teenagers, you see them slumping and drooling on their desks because you lulled them to sleep.
Yeah, absolutely. So also going, since you mentioned Rebirth Defect, we'll go to that as well. Rebirth Defect is?
It is my atheist memoir about all the different spiritual phases that I've gone through in my life. I started out being raised Catholic and then quietly became an atheist as a teenager. And then around the age of 18, I became a born-again Christian and played in a Christian heavy metal band and did some recording and minor touring. And then eventually came back around to being an atheist again.
Now, on that, the book has been out for, has it been a year now?
2 years.
2 years. Okay. I have no concept of time. I have no idea how long I've known you or like Terry or anybody else or how long we've been doing this podcast even sometimes.
Oh, I'm bad about that too. It's just that I put so much work into it and, the release party and doing the audiobook that it's kind of tattooed on my brain at this point.
Right. So how was that received overall? Like, did you have any good like backlash stories or anything on that? Or
only backlash I got was from the person I was dreading getting backlash from the most, which was my mom.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because she has known for quite some time that I'm an atheist, and she didn't like it, but she just kind of dealt with it. But when the book came out and it was public and kind of permanently out there in the world, she flipped the fuck out and just went nuts because she's at her friend's house, so my mom doesn't have a computer, and her friend just read like a few of the sample pages and my mom didn't, and her friend immediately started telling her how horrible it was and that I was bad mouthing the entire family and just blew it out of proportion. And my mom kept calling me and flipping out and just crying hysterically because she felt like she had failed as a parent.
Right. Oh my gosh.
That she raised this heathen kid, and I'm super close with my mom. So it broke my heart. And finally I learned a lesson from one of my other favorite podcasts, the Thinking Atheist podcast, where he talked about how he dealt with that in his family. And so I just sat down and I wrote her a letter and I said, look, I love you very much. You're not a failure as a parent. You're the best parent anyone could ever have hoped for. but I am not going to talk to you about this issue again unless you actually read my book, because you're judging it based off of what someone told you about the book and you haven't read it. You have no idea what's in it. If you will read it, I will send you a free copy, and then we can talk. If not, we can talk about anything other than my atheism. And she was down with that, and I mailed it to her, and she actually loved it so much that she called me. She kept calling me, giving me periodic reports throughout the thing. It was telling me how funny she thinks it is. And when she got done, she called me and said, I was upset that it was over. I wanted there to be more chapters.
That's amazing.
That is. And, I mean, it's not like your life journey. I'm actually tearing up a little bit. It's not like your life journey is done, and you never know what'll happen when faith might swing back around and bite you in the ass again. It's one of those things that's kind of a recurring thing throughout our lives. So
yeah, I mean, never say never. I can't see it happening right now, but
right.
About 20 years ago, I thought I would never be going to a Slayer concert tonight because I thought that they sucked. And then eventually I saw them in concert and I was like, oh my God, what was I thinking?
For sure. Let's touch on Zombie Fabulous real quick and give a brief synopsis of that for anybody who's interested in checking that one out.
Okay. Zombie Fabulous is a trilogy of comics about drag queens who die and come back as undead drag queens, and they're torn between their desire to remain fabulous and the fact that they crave brains and they are decaying.
Now, is that one still also available?
Yep, it's available. If you want a print copy, they're available through my Etsy store, and it's also available. They're all on Kindle as well if you are an e-reader type person.
Gotcha.
Yep. Do you want to drop any cons you're going to in the next couple months also?
Yeah, unfortunately, they had to cancel my July 1st one, which you guys were probably going to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were at least going to have a presence there. Nobody had asked us about doing anything specific, but we would at least go.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where we've been with cons ourselves lately, is we haven't really I have to work weekends, so it's kind of hard for me to get away.
Yeah.
So I can't really justify having a table when I can't not be at work. So
yeah. Damn adulting.
Yeah, paying bills and all that shit.
All right. My next con is in August. It's August 18th, and it's the Grand Lake Fan Expo at the Mercer County Library in Ohio. And then the next one after that is September 8th, and it's in Youngstown, Ohio. It's a relatively new independent Comic-Con called Yo Ice.
Yo Ice?
Yo Ice.
Yo Ice. Love it.
And then October 20th, I will be at the Parkersburg PopCon in your neck of the woods.
Yep, that'll be at WVUP, West Virginia University at Parkersburg.
And then November 18th, the Buckeye Comic-Con in Columbus, Ohio.
Awesome. And then also to get a hold of you in general, do you have an email or Facebook or Twitter or any of that you want to plug?
Yeah, my website is www.stephenhines.org. And on Twitter and Instagram, my handle is StephenHines67. The 67 is not the year I was born, and it's also not my IQ, as Terry Irvin always accuses me. It is a reference to a song by one of my favorite bands, King's X. And I'm on Facebook as well, of course.
Of course. So that, I think, wraps up the episode. Thank you so much, Stephen Hines, for being on once again. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
If you would like to catch all of Stephen's work, you can check out any of the links that will be in the description below. Head over to duelingogres.com if you are on your podcatcher listening to this and you can't exactly click links, because I know some of them don't allow that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you can head over to duelingogres.com. You'll be able to see all of the pictures the covers for his art and music and books, and links directly to whatever we can link up to.
And when does the Kickstarter begin?
June 15th.
June 15th.
So that'll be the Kickstarter for Soccer Mom Killer. If anybody is interested in doing that, it sounds like it's going to be an interesting tale for sure.
But don't actually kill soccer moms.
Yeah, please don't.
Yes, please don't. Well, thanks very much, guys. I appreciate helping me out with this.
Oh, absolutely, man. Anytime you want to come on, just let us know. I know we're bad about getting a hold of people. So
yeah, we'd like to have you on again, maybe after the Kickstarter's over, so we can discuss that a little more.
Sounds good. Hopefully I won't be crying into my beer while talking to you.
God, that would make for some good listening on the podcast, though.
It'd be like a reality show, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Valedictorian USA.
My life sucks.
All right, well, enjoy the concert, man. Thanks again.
Yep, thanks, guys.
All right, bye.
Yeah.
If you have any questions or comments, or you'd like to hear yourself on air, you can call us at 978 DU-OGRES. That's 978-386-4737. You can also reach us on Twitter at Dueling Ogres. Email us at duelingogres@gmail.com and leave a comment on the Facebook page like these nice people go.
Our only comment this week was from Steven's friend, the Viscount Terry W. Irvin II,
Well, friend might be stretching it.
who says 2 hours of D&D every other week is better than no hours of D&D ever. Very true. While I have absolutely zero interest in seeing the Happy Times murder movie, I think it's humorous that Sesame Street, which over the years has become pretentious and politically correct, is upset about a potentially perceived connection between the two and apparently lost in court on the issue. I'm not familiar enough with Sesame Street to know if they're become pretentious and politically correct, so I'm not sure on that. In answer to your question, I do occasionally jot a thing or two down while listening, but other stuff I just remember when I get the chance to post. Example of jotting so I get it right would be the funniest quote for this episode, Brandon. So I don't know what a Creepy Crawlers movie could possibly be. Remington, stupid.
And then we also had Negalary over on Twitter because apparently he likes Twitter more than he likes Facebook, which is fine. I just tend to forget sometimes. He changes his Twitter name more than I change my underwear. I know you don't use Twitter, Brandon, but it's a thing that you can do.
To change your Twitter name?
Change your Twitter name, yep. Your display name, anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He had several comments pasted across a few different posts, but one of them he said, thanks for spoiling Infinity War for me, douchers. Which I responded, I warned you of spoilers.
Oh, come on. He had to have been kidding, right?
Oh, I'm sure. And even if he wasn't, that's his fault. It's on him.
Yeah, literally the entire episode, we go beat by beat.
For the whole
You get
movie.
to the point where there's a spoiler, you've listened for the entire 7 hours that podcast ended up being.
He said, I resigned myself to seeing Infinity War on video, just missed it, and was more excited for Deadpool anyway. To which I said that I'm going to go see Deadpool tomorrow, Thursday.
Yeah.
Thursday is the day that we will go.
I think you'll like it.
Do you?
Mm.
It sounds like it's a lot of fun.
It is.
He also had a couple of other different comments on non-podcast related things, so my streams and that sort of thing. But since it's not podcast related, I don't read them.
Put it in the trash.
But I mean, I read them, but I don't comment on the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Put it in the podcast trash.
So thank you for everybody who commented this week. I appreciate it. Make sure to leave more comments. Give us more all the time.
Yes, shower us in them.
We're constantly craving them.
Imagine your comments are tangible, like tax or something.
No, like food. Like your food. Your comments are our ear foods, our eye foods, and they sustain us.
But I want you to put those comments in a bucket, in a traditional metal bucket, the kind you would milk a cow with.
Yeah.
And fill it up all the way to the top and then just dump it over us.
Yeah.
Like wet t-shirt style, like slow motion, tossing our hair back and forth. Just that's how we want these comments.
Yeah. Just overflowing with any kind of comment, really. It doesn't have to be love and adoration.
Yeah.
It could be hate and vitriol.
We'll take hate and vitriol.
Yeah, I mean, we got thick skins
and
poor grammar.
Yeah. we has both.
We got thick skins and poor grammars. What are you going to do with it, huh? Make sure to subscribe on our website at DuelingOGRES.com for news, shows, and articles pertaining to some of your favorite geek news. Make sure to click down in the links below for all of Stephen's works. And finally, be sure to leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or find us on YouTube, iHeartRadio, or nearly anywhere else you can find a podcast. Or if you're interested in Twitch, you can always check us out at twitch.tv/DuelingOGRES as well.
Yeah, you've been growing there still.
Yep, still plugging along. So until next week, Ogres, keep your clubs blunt
and your tusks sharp.
Good night.
The microphone's covered in cat hair.
Quit bitching.
It's like I'm super allergic to cats or something.
Yeah, you knew what you were getting into.
You're a true blue friend, Reb.
Friends don't put up with friends' bullshit.
Is your middle name Empathy?
Yes.
I'm thinking about using I was listening to a podcast with an interview with Alan Moore on it, and he was talking about a bunch of his wackadoodle beliefs about magic, and he quoted some guy who said that we were basically haunted beef. I got to use that for a song title on this next one, Haunted Beef.
Yeah.
Haunted Beef. You said Alan Moore?
Yeah.
He's real into like the occult and witchcraft, isn't he?
Yeah, it's all I can do is while listening to it is like I think I rolled my eyes so hard that I sprained muscles in there. But then he'll go on and talk about like Einstein's theories and explain them so an idiot like me can kind of understand them and talk about parallel dimensions. And he really knows his shit about science. So I'm like, then how can you believe all this nonsense about casting spells?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess the same way that a scientist can claim to be a Christian too.
Yeah.
God, I wish that stuff was real. Casting spells and stuff.
Yeah.
Every time I hear like people who are really into it talk about it, I think, man, if that were actually real, I would be wearing full robes and doing it all the time.
And Remington would be a toad.
Yeah.
I keep you in my pocket at least, Remington. My pants pocket.
Whoa. My inner pants pocket.
My prison pocket.
Is that what they're called?
That's what in Deadpool. That's what they call the butthole.
Oh, really?
No, your prison wallet.
Your prison wallet.
Yeah.
Nice. We're gonna go watch that tomorrow night.
Oh, it's good. I could have sent you the link. You could have watched it on the Mexican Handycam.
I mean, I could have. I thought that was Avengers. That was the Mexican Handycam.
No, Deadpool 2 was also.
Oh, I thought you said you
Portuguese, maybe.
didn't. Yeah, I was gonna say. I thought you
Slavic
said you
of some
didn't
kind.
remember what language it was.
Maybe Slavic.
So we went from Portuguese to Slavic.
I thought a Mexican handy cam was when you couldn't afford to, like the full show, and you just got like someone giving somebody a hand job
With a camera. Or a can. Mexican handy can.
I'm glad that I have all of this on recording.
This is a show for children, right?
Yeah.
I just want to say, guys, I've worn my Dueling Ogres nerd hole shirt so much that it already has holes in it.
Really?
Oh, I love you.
That's awesome. So you have nerd holes in the shirt.
Yeah, they're pretty tiny. So I don't know if they can be used as glory holes yet.
That's what the greasing's for.
Yeah.
But the other day, I wore it when I went out to run errands, and I went to pick up my anxiety meds at Walgreens, and the pharmacy tech lady read my shirt, and she just like could not process it. She just got so awkward. It was amazing.
We had another really good one as I was listening to, I think, this last episode. That would make a really good shirt, and I'll have to listen to it again to catch it. But then the one before that was Plato's Plato. And I just want like a silhouette version of Plato playing with Plato.
Yeah.
That's all I want on the shirt. And it just says Plato's Plato. It cracks me up. I want it so bad. I need to get on doing that. I didn't go with Baphomet, by the way. I went with myopic.
Cool.
Just because I like that word a lot and I don't get to hear it very often.
It's pronounced myopic, guys. Myopic.
I feel like my whole life is a lie.
Myopiece.
Myopiece.
Yeah, that's how you say it in French.
Myopiece.
Myopiece.
Myopoop.
Sound like a dog with peanut butter on the roof of your mouth.
Yeah, poop. It was like I returned to the womb. I was enveloped by Mother Ocean.
I have no idea what's going on.
It's fine. Only Brandon does.
I've tuned you out. I'm texting.
It was
C-Lab.
Do you remember C-Lab 2021 at all?
Nope.
Okay, Cartoon Network in their Adult Swim infancy would take Hanna-Barbera cartoons and reimagine them. So you had C-Lab 2020, which was the original version, and then they had 2021, where everything was falling apart and everybody was going undersea crazy. And they had the Jacques Cousteau ripoff, and he would say these weird existential under the sea things. So that's where all of that comes from.
Existentialism.
We.
What was it he said? The giant squid's beak would tear into me as easily as I tear into this croissant.
Yes, something like that.
As easily as I tear into this croissant.
Croissant.
Are we ready to record a fucking podcast?
Yeah. Well, I guess as ready as we can be. As ready as we can be, Brennan.
I was just trying not to make a cum joke. My brain was like, don't do it. And I just froze up.
All this talk about balls.
Yeah, it really is just.
The look on your face was what got me locked up. I couldn't even breathe.
What do you mean?
Your face was like the most like I was going to make a super awkward joke, and you looked uncomfortable with it.
I did.
Oh my god.
Like,
Okay.
come on, brain.
I'm a little lightheaded. Okay.
You good?
Yeah. So if you are, I mean, do we have any other questions? Or
What about Soccer Mom Killer?
yeah, or anything.
Well, I wanted to ask about
Okay, hold on. Reset and just move on then.
Don't tell me what to do, Remington.
Man, next time we do this, we will probably have to use something other than Skype. That is driving me insane. Whenever we start to talk, it completely drops you out, and I have no idea how to change the setting on that. So that's why if we're not like giggling when we want to, when you say something funny, it's because I don't want to actually drop you out.
You can just edit in a laugh track in post.
Yeah.
Let's just do a couple. Classic Stephen.
Oh, that was a real gem, sir.
No, that cut like a knife, Diamond Man.
You truly do sparkle.
Aww.
Oh, jeez.